Someone much smarter than me once said that time is the most valuable resource that we have. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. But if that's true, why does it seem like some people have so much more time? They have more hours in the day. Well, maybe it's because those people are able to manage their time a little bit better than you. Shots fired! It's a hot take! Hot take! Now, I'm not claiming to have it all together, but I have learned a couple of techniques and methods that have helped me to be more efficient and productive with the time that I've been given. So in this video, I want to share with you 5 ways that you can better manage your time, be more productive with your time, and potentially become a master of time. The first tip to mastering time is to be realistic with the time that you've been given. So many creatives take on projects, set deadlines, talk to clients, and they're unrealistic about what they can do in a particular amount of time. Listen, I know it sounds good to tell your boss or the client that the job can get done in this short amount of time, but realistically, it's probably gonna take longer. And a smart, mature creative understands how long something takes and is willing to actually set the timeline, the deadline, and be realistic with their time. Prioritizing tasks is another way for you to be a great steward of your time. Most people just make plans and goals all willy-nilly, and they never take the time to break those large projects, those large goals down into smaller bite-sized chunks and then arrange them based on priority. One of my favorite books that helped me on this topic was The One Thing, which helped me to realize that multitasking and thinking that everything is of equivalent relevance and importance is basically the death of you being efficient with your time. We need to prioritize which things are the one thing, which things are most important. We need to start our day, block out time for it, and make sure that we hyper-focus on the things that need to be done, not all the things that could be done. Be bold, reorganize, and prioritize the things that matter, and you'll master your time. Time blocking sounds really simple, but it's actually the key to unlocking your potential to be productive with your time. The majority of people will start their day, walk into their office, and sit at their desk without an organized plan for what needs to happen that day. And the problem is that when you don't have a plan that you have created, you will respond and react to anything and everything that comes your way. Creatives especially need to focus on time blocking because we need large amounts of time, large blocks of time where we can get into that creative flow. And if every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, you're interrupted by a meeting, a notification, an email, you are constantly being derailed from that focus that you so desperately need. What I like to do is before I go to bed each night, I like to assess the next day's priorities and create a time-blocked schedule for that following day. This allows me to assess any wins or losses, anything that was left over that wasn't accomplished that day, and then push it to the following day and figure out where it needs to line up. I use my calendar to do this, and so should you. I just block out those large blocks of time and I dedicate that time for those specific tasks. If you mix time blocking and the ability to prioritize your tasks, you are going to have time efficiency superpowers. All right, the next secret of time management is to use some sort of management platform, software, or system. It doesn't have to be online, it could be analog, but you need something that helps you to systematize and organize the way that you think about your time. You can use a calendar, you can use project management software, you can use anything you want, but you need to figure out a routine that works for you. Here's the system and routine that works for me. I've already told you about my Google Calendar. I use it for everything to time block and manage what's going to happen not only that day, but for the current week that I'm in. I use Notion to capture any and all thoughts, tasks, goals, assignments. It is my second brain and my operating system. I use Notion for everything. That's the place that I organize and dump every single thought that's inside this brain to then take and apply to projects and time blocking. Now, I try as much as possible to protect myself from getting distracted. So once I set that time block in motion, I'm gonna have notifications that pop up on my phone or on my screen, but I don't wanna be distracted if I'm in the midst of deep work. So what I try to do instead is use some sort of analog system to track my to-dos and carry out my work for the day. Recently, I've started using a system that's actually called Analog, and it's by a company called Ugmonk, and it's a really simple system where each and every day I have a nice, beautiful, modern-looking card. I write the tasks from my time block that were all manifested from my Notion database, and it just gets distilled down to this nice simple card, and I have a system where I can just write on that card, lay it in front of me, and mark those tasks off one by one. And if I'm continuing to work on a task, when my notification goes up in my calendar that says your time block is over, it's time for me to leave that task and try to come back to it, Those are the tasks that might make it into tomorrow's time blocks. The last tip for becoming a master of your schedule and time is to pay yourself first. If you've ever heard that phrase before, it usually relates to finances, but in this case, I think applying it to time makes even more sense. So often we approach our schedules from a place of abundance, like there's always more time, we'll always be able to come back, and that's not actually true. So paying yourself first means setting some borders, some boundaries, and some no-go zones when it comes to work. I actually use the time blocking method not only to block out certain portions of my work, but also my personal time that's just for me. I wake up early in the morning, I go to the gym, that's time block. Jesse's personal time, working out from this hour to this hour. I have a lunch that I make sure I time block, so I make myself take a break. And lastly, I shut off any and all availability after a certain time so that I can dedicate that time to my wife, my kids, my friends, my family, and my community. When you do this, you no longer operate out of a sense of abundance, but instead a sense of constraint. You say to yourself, this is the time that I have to operate and get these things done. How can I be most efficient since I don't have infinite amount of time? When you think about time in that way, it changes the way that you perceive time and how you spend your time. Well, that's it. Those are the 5 techniques that have had the biggest impact on my time as a creative. What about you? What kind of tips, tricks, secrets, and methods are you hanging on to that are helping you to be a master of time? I'd love to hear about all of those down in the comments. Also, if you have any questions, leave those down in the comments as well. Check the description for links to any programs, methods, techniques, or things that might help you to manage your time. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I do lots of videos about design, development, and productivity, so make sure you ring that bell and stick around for the next one. I hope you're having an amazing week. I hope you're designing amazing things, making amazing things, and making good use of your time. We'll see you in the next one.